Kaleka,
Action Conservation Foundation.
Recording in progress.
and Pesona Indonesia Tours.
Without any further ado, again and again, it's my tremendously privilege to introduce the chairperson of this symposium, a respected leader in the field of conservation who will expertly guide us through the session or Symposia 1 and discussion to come. Please join Mr. Gungzon, who will take the reins from here and lead us on this enlightened journey of exploration and collaboration. So, please welcome and give a noise to him, ladies and gentlemen. All right, please have a seat there, and time and screen is yours.
Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Sung Won-ho of Gyeongbuk National University in South Korea. So it's first time to visit the Indonesia, so I'm very honored to get in touch with this symposium. Shall we talk? Shall we start talk? So yeah, can you open the presentation?
Please, operator, the presentation of the Symposia 1 of the first speaker. Okay, wait a minute, mister.
Okay, so this time the title of the presentation is Land and Biodiversity Conservation Best Practice. Talking by Iding Haidir. So instead of the Dr. Githiru. Okay, can you introduce?
Oh, this. Thank you. Very good afternoon, everybody. My name is Iding Haidir. I'm very honored to be standing in front of you to be speaking about the Red Plus and biodiversity conservation best practice. So I'm here to be speaking on behalf of Mwangi Githiru. He's my supervisor. He is unfortunately cannot join us today because at the moment he is attending Africa Climate Week in Kenya. So he do apologize for not coming here. Before I start, I would like to introduce my institution that Wildlife Works has been working in conservation in Kenya since 1997. We are a leader in Red Plus project management and development, and we are very proud to say that we put the biodiversity and social benefit at the very heart of our company. So Wildlife Works is not an NGO, but it's a company. Now, I'm briefly showing you a global map where our projects are running. We have projects in Africa, in South America, and in Asia that include Indonesia. Now we have more than 10 projects in the pipeline. Our three pillars is biodiversity driven. So we very much put our effort, our concentration, our focus on biodiversity. Second is like we are community centered. Our tagline is community-centered wildlife conservation company. And of course, we cannot do things without any sufficient landscape. We are working in huge landscape in Colombia, in Cambodia, and also in Africa. The company was founded in 1997, and we are putting at the very center the benefit, or we call investment in biodiversity and society. And our programs is all fully funded by our credit sales from Red Plus project. Now, I would like to share our experience in Kenya, a story from Kasigo. What we do in terms of conservation, Red Plus, and biodiversity and social benefit. So our pillars, as three pillars I mentioned earlier, that the community-driven, community-centered, biodiversity-driven, and landscape-based. We are very much rely on protecting high conservation values. And our business, our core business, is to produce high-quality Red Plus. We call it carbon credit, VCUs. And from their sales, we channel it into conservation fund, into community development, and into well-being improvement. Now, just to remind you all that we have 6 high CVs, and we are focusing on all 6 high CVs in our sites. One is the species diversity, second is the landscape level ecosystem and mosaics, ecosystem and habitats, and ecosystem services. Now we are in the middle of a strong current of driving to have benefit beyond carbon. It's not only the standing trees, but also benefit towards community, well-being, biodiversity, net gain. And also we are a pioneer in IPLC engagement, indigenous people and local communities. We are working with 8 local communities and indigenous people in Colombia. And we are managing with them around 1.6 million hectares indigenous land to conserve the Amazonian forest. And what we do in terms of channeling or driving our focus, that we do the biodiversity impact assessment, that we monitor, we report, and verify. And this is very crucial because at the beginning of the project, we are really focusing on how do we put an additional attribution to our project. Talking about Red Plus project, that what makes a project is successful. Sorry. Our CEO, Mike Konstanski, says once that the people in the forest or adjacent to the forest will make or break your project, which mean we cannot avoid, we cannot ignore, we cannot put them behind in our project. And the first one is enabling legal environment and external networks. So globally, the Red Plus project is being recognized by UN, and then nationally, we in Indonesia especially, and as you might aware that 3 countries with huge tropical forests, Indonesia, Brazil, and DRC, are forming an alliance of tropical forests, which means that the global and the national legislation should be strong enough to support this system. And this Red Plus project is actually embracing co-management with local people, local stakeholders, and institutions. And moreover, as we are planning for 30 years of project cycle, which means we have to think intergenerational, yeah? We put big investment in human development, in human capacity development. And as well, we also do the very intensive communication with local communities, local leaders, chief of tribes, especially when we are working with local people, indigenous people. For say, we are working in Solomon Islands. We are engaging with more than 100 chiefs of local communities in Solomon Islands. And then, the most important thing is that if we want to make sure that the project is running smoothly, gaining benefit to all for biodiversity and community, we have to have a flexibility in terms of gaining our funding. some of the pictures that we do in Kenya, in Kasigo. I will show you more pictures about what we do in Kasigo. But ones that we provide bursaries, we provide healthcare, we build infrastructure through Red Plus financing in Kasigo. And then, before we start our project, we have to produce a very strong, compelling argument why this project should be taking place in this area, particular area. Is there any particular focus, particular objective that we want to achieve in the next 30 years that break down into every 10 years that should be in place? And the temporal scale is 30 years, and the impact for nature, of course, is very challenging to measure. We have to prove that our project highly contribute to the net gain of biodiversity and community well-being. This is the theory of change, quite familiar to you all, that if we do A, we can result with B or C and so on. So at the very beginning of the project, we do the comprehensive FPIC. So we did that in Solomon Island, in PNG, and in our own project in Indonesia, in Central Kalimantan. We haven't started the project, but since 2 years ago, we've been communicating with people, with local people. We educate them. We let them know the risk, the potential, the volatile, and every regulation that applied in Indonesia, we inform them so they highly accept without any intimidation or any misleading information. So we've been working there 2 years until they say, okay, we'll work with you, we trust you, and we'll develop this project together. So for some example, in Kenya, in Kasigo, if you are curious enough, you might grab your phone and Google it, Kasigo. This is an area between two national parks, Southwest National Park and Southwest National Park. So in Indonesia, it's known as APL. Yeah, it is non-forest area. It belongs to local community, belongs to clans. So we were working there with 6,000 landowners. Yeah, and we provide jobs to them. We also support new buildings for schools. We also create new jobs, high quality jobs for local people. More than 400 people are working with our company. And we also provide an alternative source of income to what we call some group of, some element in the community that seen but not heard, like the minors, the women, and disabilities. We work with them as well. Like we provide a greenhouse project, weaving and basket for women, and it creates a good alternative source of income for the life people. And this one, hold on, where is the, okay. Here in Kasigo, so you imagine a land that's very dry, with very minimum rainfall, only maybe 15 days in a year rainfall, yeah, and we could create this dam. It's like 10 years work. Won't happen without any support from local communities and stakeholders. And here, we provide, we call it, if we call it in Papua, we call it mama, yeah. We work with women, and we train them with skills to do the sustainable agriculture, greenhouses, and so on and so forth. Here, before we started the project, the Kasigo landscape was heavily disturbed, heavily degraded, because everybody, almost everybody, can cut down the trees and burn it into charcoal. So once we started, we regulate them, we work with them, we talk to them, and then we use the branches as an eco-charcoal project. The charcoal production is still running, but then we change the system, we change the operation, so that they still gain their benefit, financial benefit from their project. The next pictures is the Kifulikam. We also work with local communities to develop, to establish what we call ecotourism, safari park, and Kifulikam, at Kifulikam. Here, these are groups of people from Earthwatch Institute. They are coming to Kasigo every year. And here, if you search this picture, this is a screenshot of a series called Poachers on Netflix. Yeah. So it takes place in our very own Kasigo project. And what we do in terms of putting our intervention and our focus, we use this term, pressure, state, response, and framework. We have biodiversity, we have response from community, we do have pressure, of course, and threats, and we also have non-human effect. All are affecting the biodiversity status. And what can REDD+ do in terms of pressures, let me say, pressure, state, response framework? Here is some of the results that we presenting to you all, that REDD+ is not only counting the biomass, above and below ground biomass, but also we are doing a regular patrolling, regular monitoring to wildlife too. And this area is home for a giraffe, home for zebra, home for lions, home for elephants. And this study is actually digging down, deep dive the causal effect, the causal roots of giraffe poaching in the area. So we have to understand what is the mental model of the people in the area. Second, we are not doing this by ourselves, but we do this with the local communities, local authorities, and moreover with credible scientific institution. Yeah, we work with Natural Museum of Kenya, we work with universities across Europe, across United States, and in Indonesia, we also will be working with some universities in Kalimantan, in Sumatra, and so on and so forth. The third one is we have to gain their trust. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that before we started, we spent 2 years to make sure that they understand, the community understand what REDD+ is, what the risk and what the benefit. So I've heard many what we call carbon cowboy. They come to the community, they say, okay, we'll give you 2 units of Hilux, but then you have to sign this. So we don't do that in our business. And also what we call intergenerational capital investment. When we are talking about bursaries, we are not talking about elementary or secondary, but we are talking like higher education in Kasigo. Yeah, we provide them with more than. Last year, in 2022, we provide them with more than $350,000 bursaries. Yeah. Second one, what is actually REDD+ do? Yeah, we work with community to make sure that they understand that they live together with wildlife. The coexistence is not only lip service, but we are working with them. Our rangers are unarmed, so we don't have any, like, if in Indonesia we have PM1A1, no? for a pohut, yeah. We don't have that. And we work persuasively with communities. And long-term monitoring and data analysis. This is simple, yeah. The presence of the rangers in the area, what you call by design or ad lib without any preparation, just like a recording, is very important too. How many minutes do you have now? Okay. Okay. How many minutes do I have now? Okay, yeah, okay. And as I mentioned earlier that Kasigo is a corridor between Savo East and Savo West. The main reason we protect this area is for elephants that can roam between two national parks. But since corridors are serving to many other species, now we have zebra, we have lions, we have water buffalo now. So I think when we start thinking about creating corridors for particular species, it's actually benefiting others. And as we are a profit-making company, of course, we also need to think how this work is gaining benefit to communities. Of course, we set up what we call Wildlife Works Carbon Trust. So the trust is actually comprises of communities leaders. They have the rotation every 2 years. They change the members. So, and they decided what they want to do with their own money. Yeah. Okay. When we are talking about wildlife and biodiversity conservation, as I said, begin with a simple start, keep recording. So we have 400 rangers in the front lines, and they daily routines is actually going to the field, recording any threats, any encounters, and what we gain in this is not focusing on a number, but why these encounters or these particular species encounters are decreasing, why these particular species encounters are increasing. The most important thing is why. Therefore, we can address our threats, our symptoms with correct treatment. Oops, sorry. See, when we started our project, of course, we have very limited numbers of rangers in the beginning in 2011, but now last 2 years, we have quite good encounters. So long term is long. It's 30 years. Our project is 30 years, so we can see the trend. The simplest way to do when we are managing wildlife is keep the record, keep recording. Yeah. So this is Savo East National Park and this is Savo West National Park, and these areas are APL, non-forest land, but with a good management, a strong enforcement, and direct benefit, which mean monetary benefit to the communities. The elephants encounters last year, in 2022, you can see. So we estimated that within these areas, we have at least 2,000 individual of elephant out of 11,000 elephants that roam in these two national parks. Now, as we are the leaders in this field, we are thinking about how do we gain this benefit not only carbon but also for the biodiversity market. I'm not saying that we are putting our price tag to a priceless things, but this is to acknowledge local people, indigenous people who share their land with wildlife. So what we do here, we refer to the global biodiversity framework, that goal A, B, and C, and D, that Goal C especially, monetary and non-monetary benefit from the utilization of genetic resources equitably. And then goal D is the biodiversity finance gap close, which means, if we're honest, that public money is not enough. Therefore, we should bring market to conservation effort. Yeah. And we start with that carbon market is not merely benefiting local people, because when you are talking about REDD Plus project, you can do it in the production forest, which means you are channeling the money to concession owners. And third, we are developing this methodology with local people. So actually, in the last 2 years, we are testing our methodology in Brazilian Amazon with local people. And we are almost ready to bring this up to the market, that what we called biodiversity stewardship unit is giving benefits to people or parties that are already protecting the nature, already protecting biodiversity, not the vice versa, what we already knew when we are talking about REDD Plus, which means we are incentivizing people from not encroaching, right? But yeah, we are incentivizing people because they are protecting the wildlife. So we have been working with this in this methodology for almost 2 years in Brazil, and no additionality, which means, say, if you have 100,000 hectares of land, what would be the surrounding areas? Is it like highly threatened by deforestation, highly threatened by encroachment, or everything? But regardless the threats, as long as you have that biodiversity, species, landscape that highly protected with certain evidence, you are capable, you are in that situation, in the position to gain this benefit. Okay, and we are working with this biodiversity indicators for intactness and monitoring, allow indicators and methods, and we remember that we are testing this in Brazil. It might not work in Indonesia. Therefore, we will bring this to maybe to DRC, to Indonesia, to adjust with the local situation. 2 more minutes, please. Is that okay? Yeah? So REDD Plus is, from my slides, previous slides, I would emphasize that REDD Plus is a vast room for collaboration. That we can learn about ecology, we can learn about economy, we can discuss about culture and anthropology. We also want to know about the social benefit. We also think that this won't happen without the strong legislation and policy. So REDD Plus is an open platform for collaboration. And this is like to show you about how business and academics can share their interest to a better society. And this is my 5 take-home message to you all, that our norms, global norms is SDGs and SDGs. So we are very much referring to that norms. Second is like local legislation. From global principle, we bring it down to local legislation. And then, of course, it won't happen without any strong participation and contribution from local stakeholders, especially local people and indigenous local community. And you might be aware that our younger generation are very much exposed to information. They are very alert, very awake, and they know what just happened 2 seconds ago, right? And the last one, you are the leader, we are the leader, community is the leader, government is the leader, business is the leader, so we are the leader, so we can do that, make a good contribution towards climate change mitigation through biodiversity conservation. I think that's all from my end. I hope this brief information brings you insight about what we are doing in terms of REDD Plus project in Kasigo that put community and biodiversity in the core business of our company. Thank you very much. If you have a question, please.
So is there any question or suggestion about Turkey? Yes.
Thank you, moderator. I'm Dori Priyatna from Yayas Belantara Foundation. So this is a very interesting talk, yeah, about Red Plus. So in the middle of the development of the government of Indonesia regulate about the what's a carbon market, etc. Ya, nilai ekonomi karbon. So the example you choose that happen in Kenya, right? In Africa. So probably the situation very different with Indonesia. I know that Pak Iding know very well about Indonesia. So in my perspective that this concept probably can be implemented in hutan adat maybe, yeah, the forest that regulated by local community. So Indonesian government also give an opportunity for masyarakat adat community to manage the hutan adat. But that is not my question. My question is, in your perspective, Pak Iding, you know that in government of Indonesia now regulate the things that you are talking about. So do you think the current regulation that released by the government is already in line or support the project that you are going to develop or you are offer to us? So the second one is about you know that this must be implemented in a landscape scale. You know that the landscape scale is already discussed maybe more than 10 years ago. But in my perspective, I haven't seen one that running very well, because in Indonesia particularly, so talking about landscape, we have to deal with a lot of stakeholders, a lot of interests, yeah, a lot of parties. So do you think that this possible to be implemented in our country? Thank you.
So can I directly answer the question? Yeah? Okay. Thank you, Pak Doli, for your questions. Two questions. One is about regulation. So one reason we are operating in many countries in Latin America, in Africa, and in Asia, especially in Cambodia, we comply with the regulation. The national regulation, I mean. Indonesia, Brazil, and DRC are amongst countries that have vast tropical forests. I know that these countries and others as well, like Panama and PNG and even Timor-Leste, our neighbors, they are strengthening their legislation. And for your information, that we are working in DRC in concession areas. Previously, it was natural forest production, and it was converted to the Red Plus project in Maidombe. It's been running for 12 years. And in Colombia, we are working with masyarakat adat. In Kenya, we are working with local people. In Cambodia, we are working with government. So we work in a national park in Cambodia. So we have many examples that already they've been running well. And in Brazil and in DRC, we are working closely with we are working closely with government to strengthen the regulation. Yes, we'll be looking at that. We will be working with masyarakat adat. We'll be working with hutan desa. We'll be working with concession owners as well, and we'll be working with government of Indonesia in terms of for conservation forest, because with the new regulation just came out 3-4 months ago, so it is possible to do the REDD+ project in conservation areas. And your second question regarding the is it possible, right? Is it possible to do the project in Indonesia with many stakeholders, landscape scale? Yes, it is tedious process when we start a new project, with especially when it lies in maybe 5 kabupatens or 4 kabupatens, 3 provinces. For your information, our project in Cambodia, in Tonle Sap, or in Phnom Samkos, we are working in 3 provinces and 6 districts. And we have to communicate with those provincial levels, district levels, and also in the commune level. There we have communal level, yeah? And we talk to government, we talk to NGOs, we talk to educators, we talk to legislators, and it's tedious process. But we have faith that when we start anything with a good intention, yeah, as we did in Kenya, we did in Colombia, in DRC, we can achieve a successful project. Yeah, that's our faith in Indonesia too. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. We have very limited time, so your question may be very short, maybe in 2 minutes. Is it okay? Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. It was, yeah, it was really interesting to see how. Oh, can't hear me. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you for the question. For the presentation. Yeah, it was really interesting. But I had 2 very quick questions. One. You kind of answered the question in the previous, past question before, but you're working with governments and the regulations, and that's how you identify. But also, how do you identify where your projects are taking place in these different countries? What is your criteria for it? And what is your strategy for approaching communities in these areas? And the second one is, I heard that the project runs for, say, 30 years. What's the sustainability of these projects, and what are the plans for sustaining it, or that the community still receives benefits from it after the project is finished? Thank you.
Thank you. I think once we had that conversation over the phone, right? The other day. Yeah. Okay. So our strategy, how do we work with community, right? And how do we approach stakeholders? We cannot start our project if we don't have a local intermediary. We need to work with institution or organization that community, especially with the community, has long experience working in that area. So, for example, we work in a community in Kalimantan, and we have we actually introduced to the community by this organization because they've been working within the community for 6 years, so they know the organization leaders, the chief of the village since 2 decades ago, and this trust is not easily gained when you are working with community, especially those villages that have long experience working with various projects, either NGO projects or government projects that last maybe for 2 years, 3 years, and they disappear. So this kind of experience they hold, they say, okay, if you want to working with us, show us that you are not coming here for only 2 years, right? And our project is like answer, this is leading to your next question, 30 years of project cycle. On my slides, I show you that apart from RED Plus activities, we also develop alternative source of income. We have the Kifuli camp, we have T-shirt, what we call Eco Factory. If you heard back in early or late 90s, there was Eco Factory that produced wildlife-friendly T-shirts that directly sold to customers in the United States. That's Wildlife Works. So, and also from our
So we have
limited time. Okay, one more minute here. One more minute. In our scheme, in our financial scheme, we put at least 40% of the profit goes to the community, and what we call community direct investment that will last at least after the project ends, after 30 years, they have more sustainable finance for their own businesses. That's our scheme. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for we have limited time, so can you directly move into next presentation? So can you open the new file? So the welcoming the new presenters. So so let's talk. Yes, Professor Prabang Setyono. So please welcoming.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for all participants. I'm sorry because it's my cough. My second. And the climate change is no longer merely an issue or discourse. It has become a challenge that we must face together. The challenge is right in front of us. Yeah. The choice is whether we are willing to adapt to this climate change or not. That climate change mitigation and adaptation, because I am the environmentalist, not the biological conservation. This Mr. Iding, biological conservation. Yeah. I am environmentalist. Effort to reduce it began with collective awareness among us, which start with climate change mitigation. Indonesia is only 1.3% of Earth's land surface. So, we know in ecosystem diversity in Indonesia, natural environmental in Indonesia, we have the mega biodiversity, one of mega biodiversity in the world. So, this is damage, this is damage, this is damage, this damage, maybe yes, maybe no. So, interaction between system, ecosystem including biodiversity, limit to adaptation, losses and damage. Climate change cause impact and risk. Impact human society, limit to adaptation, losses and damage. Impact ecosystem including biodiversity. So this is the wildlife habitat. Okay, from urgent to timely action, governance, finance, knowledge, catalyzing condition, and technologies. Future climate change, limiting global warming, impacts human system transition, societal, energy, industry, urban, rural, and infrastructure impact, ecosystem transition, land, freshwater, coastal, ecosystem. This is the climate hazard. So, we know about impact of climate change are observed in many ecosystem and human system worldwide. Observe impact of climate change on ecosystem. You know about the ecosystem, terrestrial, freshwater, ocean, change in ecosystem structure. You know the bold color, high or very high. Okay, the merely color medium and low. Species rank shift, terrestrial, freshwater and ocean. Indonesia include in Asia. You can view in the horizontal. Okay, horizontal. Change in timing, phenomenology, terrestrial, freshwater, and ocean. I'm sorry, I'm drink. Okay, thank you. So in Asia, we know observe impact of climate change on human system, impact water scarcity and food production. Human system, water scarcity, agriculture, animal and livestock health and productivity, fishery yield and aquaculture production. So Indonesia in Asia, okay, plus and minus in horizontal. You look at that, high or fairly high, medium and low, okay? You know about the impact health and well-being, infectious disease, health, malnutrition and other mental health, displacement, impact city, settlement and infrastructure, inland flooding and oceanic damage. This is very interesting. Then focusing, you know about the emission greenhouse gases. This is increased until until 2021. Okay, emission and projection increase 0.6%. You know, greenhouse gases source and contribution, waste greenhouse gases from waste management such as landfill, waste burning, biological waste treatment and sanitation. So we know about in the world the dynamic, the health. IPPU, jadi industrial product use, greenhouse gases from the use of industrial supporting products such as lubricant and wax, as well as the use of industrial product in society. AVOLU, yeah, forest land use, greenhouse gases from agriculture activity, tillage, fertilization, cultivation, and livestock waste. Forestry and land use is usually specialty of rural and suburban area. 10%. Okay, IPPU 9% and waste 3%. So 78% energy. Greenhouse gases from energy consumption, directly transportation, industry, construction, household, commercial, service. This is the very high source from IPCC. Greenhouse gases mitigation concept. This concept target effort to directly reduce the resulting emission. Reduce, okay? Rethink And the 3, recharge. Raising effort to manage the resulting emission don't directly target value reduction at the source, and recharge effort to utilize emission as an alternative resource, adding value to emission. So, the factor determining the effectiveness of policy and action plan. Adaptive is not just an adaptive policy. Clear orientation in target and achievement, scientifically based social engagement, and not abandoning local wisdom, sequential hierarchy in the concept of environmental management, from planning to law enforcement, with the concept of circular economy and sustainable goals. So, the real implementation example, conversion and restriction on types of fossil fuel, use of alternative fuel, restriction on the use and ownership of private vehicle, use of low emission vehicle, and optimizing urban area, mangrove and R restoration, carbon trade, carbon tax, provision of public transport company to the public, and the waste management into electrical energy, utilization of livestock waste as biogas restoration with lab biodiversity habitat. So basically, greenhouse gases mitigation efforts are effective if followed by adaptation to habit and lifestyle. This is basically lifestyle. So impact the climate change. Earth temperature increase, weathering increase, organic oxidation increase, water evaporation increase. This is the real in this day and the next day. Change in rainfall pattern, drought and flood intensities will increase. So the flooding, okay? And the 3, rising sea level, many coastal city sinks. We know nowadays in Demak, Jawa Tengah, central of Java, the village is seawater level. This is to flooding in Demak, Jawa Tengah. The intensity of the storm increasing. Okay? We know tropical cyclone, drought and hail, snowstorm, tornado and flood, thunderbolt and storm surge. This is the climate change impact. So, this is sophisticated because we know about in Indonesia, the future projection in the years 2100, the long next year. The loss of island, Sumatera Utara, Batu Island, Sumatera Barat, Pulau Sipora, Kepulauan Riau, Pulau Singkep, Pulau Bangka, Pulau Linggo, Bangka Belitung, Pulau Belitung, Kalimantan. This is have the 115 island. This is the thing. So, an adaptation response to climate change. In one of ini, the birds from in this island. We have the sister, we have the brother in that is island. The loss of island. So adaptation response to climate change. Adaptation response, system transition, land and ocean ecosystem, urban infrastructures, energy system, cross-cultural terrestrial ecosystem, forest adaptation, we know high, medium, low. Okay? In potential feasibility, dimension of potential feasibility, we know economic, social, environmental, and geophysical. The sources IPCC in 2022. 16% land and earth ecosystem, forest-based adaptation, sustainable aquaculture and fishery, agroforestry, biodiversity management, and ecosystem. This is, we know, with benefit, okay, with benefit. With this benefit, you can detailing to read in in the notation in this table. Okay. Thank you very much. Shots, and if we cannot all swim together, we will sink. There is no plan B because there is no planet B. Okay? Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General, United Nations. Thank you very much for that.
We have time, so time to maybe 15 minutes. So do you have any question?
Okay, thanks. Two questions to Professor. First, my name is Shaiful. I'm from private company in North Sumatra. My question is, I'm from private company that mostly we produce emission, and actually we already do some mitigation for climate change prevention and reduce emission. But I just I need some advice from Professor. How about the strategy for the industry in Indonesia to do mitigation for climate change prevention and reduce emission? Because as we know that the high contributor for the climate change contribution from multi-sector in industry seems like mining or maybe manufacture and forestry maybe, or agriculture, right? But my current private company in my gold mine role, which is we have a lot of heavy equipments that operates in our concession area. So the high consumption is came from the heavy equipment operations. And then the second, that how the strategy for the government to enforce the industry to do mitigation for climate change, even that all the company, for example, the public company that list in BAE or IDX, Indonesian Stock Exchange, that they must to implement the ESG or environmental social governance, and then they must report the sustainability reporting in every years, that and also annual report that published in idx.com, which is this is maybe the strategy for the non-government organization or some of the organization that focus to prevent climate change. So maybe Professor can share to us, is there any study or research that the impact of the ESG implementation or sustainability implementation have high contribution to mitigate the trend of the environmental pollution, especially in greenhouse gas, or no? Since the ESG implemented maybe in the last 3 years. And also, the last, maybe the enforce from the government seems like, as we know that in the last years, our government established the regulation regarding the nilai ekonomi carbon or carbon economic value. But I think, is it just for the hike company, or how about the private sector that maybe unlegal, not legal company, or the other public or private community? Seems like me, for example, if I have 3 or 4 vehicles, for example, so how the strategy to enforce for the community, not only for the company? I think that's all, Professor. Thank you.
Direct answer? Okay. Mr. Saiful, thank you very much for your question. It's very, very interesting. The first, please, and your operational in the manufacture, please you can you make the baseline. You can baseline with the LCA. Jadi LCA life cycle assessment. Okay, life cycle assessment your manufacturer. Please you can counting life cycle assessment. This is to baseline. So the next you can improve by raw material and the low carbon, improve to process, and improve to packaging, improve to the maintain, and so on. If you have the methods to reduce the delta, you know about delta before and after, and the reduce. So this is the go to the successfully, because if you have the document document baseline, this is you you know progress. Basically LCA, life cycle assessment. Okay, life cycle assessment, and you start to improve the raw material, improve the process, improve the product, improve the packaging, improve the marketing, transportation. You should be to reduce in gap, the before and after, gap to reduce. This is the keywordnya. Keywords is you. And the second, please you follow the point to gain the proper. You know the proper. Proper or the kinerja perusahaan itu ya. I'm sorry. Proper. The point by point, please you follow in the point proper. I am confident if you follow the proper, improve your manufacture is the real, the proper. Okay? This is the emission. Okay, thank you.
We have 5 minutes. Do you have any further question? So I think I heard that it could be online presenter. So did you prepare? So did you already? Sir? So can I the name? Gesang. Gesang, can I open your presentation? So I
Yes,
forgot.
please.
Sorry, I forgot to give the privilege to the professor who give a very good presentation about climate warning. So now we will move on to the next presentation. So Gesang, can you start now?
Yeah, hello everyone.
So we have 20 minutes for the presentation and 10 minutes for discussions.
All right,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you. All right, good afternoon everyone. First of all, I'd like to apologize for not attending offline since we just had some VVIP visit to PTFI in Papua. I would like to say thank you also for the opportunity for PTFI to share our biodiversity and conservation program. Could you please share my presentation? All right, next please. All right, this is to show the our operation in Papua. So we operating for more than 56 years in Central Papua Province, Indonesia. Our special mining business permit area is about 9,000 hectares, almost 10,000 hectares, with supporting area more than 116,000 hectares. Next. Previously, we used two method for the mining, which are open pit and underground. But since 2020, we stopped the open pit operation, and currently we are 100% underground operation, with production rate is around 240 tons of ore per day. We send our ore to the mill, where we separate the commercially valuable minerals to become concentrate. The concentrate is around 3 to 4% of the total ore we process, and the remaining material is called as tailings, which are transported to lowland and deposited in the tailing deposition area. Next, please. This is showing the ecosystem types in our project area, which is very unique. We have area with elevation up to 400 and 4,030 meter above sea level. We have a quite complete ecosystem from the mangroves, swamp forest, rainforest, heath forest, mountain forest, and subalpine and also alpine. And we are very close also to the Loren National Park, where we in Loren National Park also having Nifal ecosystem. Next, please. We have commitment to support the biodiversity of Papua, one of the richest and most biodiverse region in the world. And we have collaborated with national, international scientists, with some universities, including Gajah Mada University. We work together also with BKSDA to implement biodiversity and conservation program. Next, please. This is the concept we conduct the biodiversity conservation program. Basically, the first step we do is if we can avoid the disturbance or impact into the ecosystem. So this is the first thing we will do. And then the next step is minimize and then rehabilitate. If we cannot do that, then what we do is the offsite. But the objective is will be no net loss of biodiversity. For example, for the offsite, we currently conducting rehabilitation in Jayapura. In total, it's about 4,200 hectares which need to be rehabilitated in Jayapura. Next, please. This is the program we have for the forest management. Basically, we do the planning, implementation, research and development, and including education, control, and also rehabilitation. You can see some of the programs or steps we've been doing for each step. Next, please. We also implementing reclamation in the mine area. Every 5 years, we submit a five-year reclamation plan to the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. Once it is approved, then we need to allocate a reclamation guarantee. And then we do land preparation by the operation team. And then environmental team will conduct the planting, hydroseeding, maintaining the area, and also the monitoring. And then every year we will be evaluated by Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. Next, please. This is the example of the Grassberg reclamation program at the main site. As I mentioned before, we already finished the open pit. So we currently focus on the closure of the open pit area, and our focus is to do the reclamation or revegetation at the Grassberg area. The elevation is around 4,200 meter above the sea level. What we do is to we do the 5 meter capping with limestone to prevent acid rock drainage, and then we use fine material to replace the topsoil, because it is very difficult to find topsoil over there. So we have a fine limestone for the topsoil, and then we do the planting. Up to now, we already planted around 470 hectares. Next, please. In lowland, we also do reclamation or vegetation at the former tailings deposition area. After more than 10 years, the more than 500 species can be found, and it is a natural succession occurring. Next, please. This is the process of the natural succession occurring at the former tailing deposition area of the tailings. Started the grasses, majority is from the Pragmites carca, and then shrub and fern, and then sapling poles and young forest, and then between 20 to 30 years become mature forest without any intervention from human. Next, please. In the coastal area, we also do planting at the tailing deposition area. For your information, majority of the tailings will be deposited in the area we call it MOD ADA, Modified Aqua Deposition Area, and some of the fine material going to the estuary and then creating a new land. So we started the program for assisted mangrove colonization in 2004, and up to now we already reclaimed or revegetated around 700 hectares, and then while we creating the new ecosystem over there, the natural colonization also occurring. So in total, we can develop around more than 1,000 hectare of new mangrove forest. Next, please. We also conduct land rehabilitation as part of the borrow to use permit of the forest area used for the operation of PTFI. Our target is around 4,200 hectare, and we already achieved more than 600 hectare. We work together with community, a local community, to do the planting and providing the seedlings and compost. Next, please. So related with the biodiversity, we have the area called Mile 21 Reclamation and Biodiversity Center. Basically, we utilizing the former tailing deposition area for the reclamation and biodiversity studies and also to demonstrate that tailings deposition area can be transformed as the productive land for agriculture, aquaculture, animal husbandry, and etc. Next. I see quite a lot of participants from the BKSDA. So we've been working together with BKSDA, the Indonesian Conservation Agency, especially in Papua, to repatriate or release more than 55,000 of animals consisting bird, crocodile, lizard, mammals, snake, and turtle. Last time we released more than 70 bird, yeah, to the wild, yeah. The bird is coming from Surabaya, Bali, and some other area. Next, please. We also having an animal transit facility. Basically, we established this facility to support Balai Besar KSDA Papua for taking care of the confiscated endangered species. And then we facilitating also for transportation to the release area, and most of it to the Loren National Park. Next, please. We also have a butterfly sanctuary park at Mile 21. The objective is to support the conservation of the butterfly, especially the endemic butterfly species. There is a big butterfly called the great-winged butterfly or kupu-kupu sayap burung. So we focusing on that species. In total, we hatch annually more than 1,200, and then 90% will be released to the wild. Next. We also have a diorama ecosystem. We work together with LIPI to develop this to picturing 8 major ecosystem types, as I mentioned before. And this is used for the education, especially for the student in Mimika area. Next. We also having a mini botanical garden over there. We have a collection of the orchids and other ornamental plants. Next, please. Also, we have a natural succession discovery park. This is to monitor the natural succession of the tiling deposition area. And this area is also for students to learn about the biodiversity, to learn about identifying a plant, and etc. Next, please. This is the important thing. So we work together uh, with several institutions, yeah, including Papua University, Cendrawasih University, and also Gajah Mada University, to conduct research on the singing dog, because initially this is described as a new species of dog, yeah. And then New Guinea Highland wildlife dog believed to be extinct in the nature by some scientists, but recently were observed and documented, including in Grassberg area. And we already done the 3 phases of the program, yeah, from 2016, and last time was in 2022. And the conclusion was the reclamation effort and future of mine closure offer a promising future sustainable and healthy population of the dogs. Next, please. Uh, as I mentioned before, we work also together with UNIPA, University of Papua, to conduct research on the natural succession area, and we done two survey in 2005 and also 2021. Next. The important thing, we work together with some institution, including LIPI, currently BRIN, the Indonesian Research Center. We discovered 21 new species of crustacean. The scientist is Ibu Dwi Listiora Hayu, or Professor Dwi Listiora Hayu from the LIPI, or BRIN currently. Next, please. We also discovered two new fish species and also one lizard species, one new frog species. We call some of these new species in correlation with our area, for example, Timika, so Glossamia Timika, because Timika of the city of in Mimika, and then Littoria lubisi, Rusdian Lubis was the senior vice president during that time, so we use that name for the new species. Next, please. We also discovered one new shrub species, this together with Kew Garden and also Papua University. The name of the species taken from one of our staff, Pratita Pura Diatmika, so we call it Diplocosasia Pura Diatmikae. And also we already discovered also 7 new species of sorry, Freycinetria. Next, please. Based on our research and monitoring, we are also produce 12 series of biodiversity field guide or books. Yeah, we work together with LIPI and other scientists. I think that's all my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention, and please let me know if you have any question. Thank you.
Thank you for the good presentation about the PTFI. So, can you? Sorry, I don't understand what is the PTFI. So, can you repeat full name of the project?
PTFI is a PT Freeport Indonesia. It is one of the largest mining actually in Indonesia. We are operating in Papua.
Okay, so we have enough time to discuss, or if you have any question, please let me know.
Thank you, Pak Gesang, for your presentation. I'm just wondering, little question. You did mention about the orchid there. Just wondering what kind of research related to orchid over there, and what type of orchid, and then how try to conserve wild orchid or something. Thank you.
Can I answer directly?
Yes, please.
All right, thank you. So yeah, thank you, Ibu, for the question. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not the expert of orchid, but basically what we do is we do collection. We have collection of the orchid from all major city in Papua. I believe about 10 years ago, we worked together with some with University of Papua and also other stakeholders to try to get a sample of the orchid from different part of the Papua. And currently we still maintaining the orchid. Related with the orchid study, unfortunately, there is no a special study for orchid. In the past, we worked together with Kew Garden and Papua University, but this is for the vegetation in general, yeah, not specially on the orchid. We already have some communication with BRIN. There's somebody from the BRIN quite interested to do the research on orchid, and we are very welcome, yeah. If in the future there is a proposal or one institution would like to do study on orchid in our area, and we would like to support that. Thank you.
Do you have any more question? Actually, I have a question that your project has a broad range of subject. So I just confused that some of project could be to improve the public awareness, and some of project are to increase the biodiversity. So I have a question that one of your project was that to install some park of endangered species such as butterfly. So and then after the project, the public awareness has been improved, or did you have any assessment of? Did you have assessed any other impact from the park installation? Or?
All right, thank you for the question. So we regularly work with consultant and also institution to do research and study in our area. Last time we had a very comprehensive study in 98 and 99, and every year we conduct study also on biodiversity. We also have a monitoring program every year, including biodiversity. So based on the previous assessment, there were some recommendation for the monitoring plot, yeah, permanent monitoring plot that we need to do monitor every 2 year or 3 years from the highland to lowland area, including to the mangrove. Um, and related to the biodiversity, we use that also for kind of a bioindicator, yeah, whether any impact of our operation. And so far, there we don't see any impact to the surrounding area. We have operation, we have impact to the tailing deposit at the lowland area because we use some of the area for the tailing deposition area, but currently still on operation. But we have commitment if we stop the operation in 2041 based on our contract of work or IUPK or special mining permit, then we will do revegetation, yeah. But at the surrounding area, we maintain the forest also. For example, in Kuala Kencana, we own forest about 17,000 hectares, and we only use 1,000 hectares for the city, for the accommodation of the employee. But we maintain the rest of the area as a pristine forest. For example, my house is back of my house is forest, is a primary forest. So you can see bird, yeah, and also sometimes kangaroo, yeah, behind my house or snake, yeah. So we do monitoring also in Kuala Kencana, and so far there is no issue on that. The butterfly sanctuary we have hatching the butterfly actually just to show our contribution to preserve the endangered species, especially the bird being butterfly. Thank you.
Sanctuary is not to improve the public awareness. So we have time to discuss more. So okay.
Okay, thank you. Um, sorry, Bapak Gesang from Freeport, Indonesia. as I see in your slide before that you do tiling reclamation. I'm Saiful, I'm from Agincourt Resource. We have same core business, yeah. We have also, we have tiling storage facility, but we are now in operation stage that our tiling will be reclamation maybe in the next until 10 years ahead. So now we still prepare for the methodology for the reclamation after mine closure. So I just curious that your tiling reclamation methodology, how you do that? Maybe the tiling will be covered with the topsoil, and how about the thickness and what kinds of the study that we have to prepare before the reclamation? Because as we know that the tailings storage facility, there are a lot of heavy metals that maybe can influence with the plants successful to achieve the reclamation guarantee as declared or regulated by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resource. So can you share to me the methodology and then what kind of the species that can survive with the reclamation on your tiling? And then the second, I just curious because that your reclamation area in the level of 400, right? 400 above sea level. So I see that there are 146 species that you already planted on the reclamation area. So is it the species is based on the baseline study when Freeport Indonesia did the study before clearing process, and then is the 146 species as the endemic species from the area of your Grasberg gold mine? Maybe that's it, Pak Gesang. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Pak Saiful, yeah, for the good question. The first question related with the reclamation. So we have been operating for 56 years actually in Papua. I started in 1967. Yeah, we are one of the first international investor coming to Indonesia, and we started to do the reclamation in early 90. And after that we did a lot of trial actually, and we use the local species, but we do not bring the species or alien species, yeah, for our planting. So majority are as local species or endemic species. As you mentioned, we already successful to plant 146 hectare. Uh, Previously, we don't have area for for the reclamation, but in 2005 we building a new levee because we would like to divert one of the river previously joining with the tailings, and then we divert it out from the tailings. So we have kind of double levee. That's why we have area about 1,000 hectare to conduct some research on the revegetation. In the beginning, we just do the trial. We use the local compost, the compost coming from the cattle. So we have a kind of integrated farming over there. We have about 38 cattle. The cattle will produce manure. Manure, we use the manure for the reclamation activities, and we also mix that with water hyacinth collected from the area also. And sometimes we use the food waste for producing compost using worm. Yeah, we call it a vermicomposting program. And then we produce the compost by ourselves. Some of the plant we have been tried can be grow without any fertilizer. For example, casuarina or pines, yeah, it can grow very well without, even though we don't bring we don't put fertilizer on it. But other species need, for example, ironwood, we need to put fertilizer on that. And then, since we see that the plant can grow well on tiling soil, then we had idea to convert some of the tiling deposition area to be a productive land. So we allocate 100 hectares of area to be used for agriculture, aquaculture, animal husbandry. So we planted cacao, we planted palm oil, coconut, some fruits, and also vegetables. And we test all of the product from our tiling deposition area. We testing the leaf, we testing the fruit, yeah, we testing fish, including we take the sample of the blood of the animals, the cattle, to be analyzed for the metal. And based on our analysis, all below the threshold limit. So everything, all edible plants safe to eat, yeah, including fish safe to eat, animals safe to eat also. So which is quite interesting because we believe that our tailings, we did a lot of tests for our tailing. Yeah, we did tests, TCLP test, LD50 test, subchronic test, LC50 test, all passed the test. Yeah, it's mean that tilings are not hazardous waste, but in the regulation somehow still hazardous waste. But as you might know that it is very difficult to the list the hazardous waste from the list. Yeah. So, but yeah, we that's why we very confident that after the closure, the tiling deposition area can be converted to be a productive land without any health issue. Other question related the Graceberg area, we also using the endemic species over there. And the challenge, because the elevation is very high, 4,200 above sea level, there is no big trees, yeah, growing there. Majority at the subalpine and alpine area is grasses and also shrub. So we started with the local grasses we collected from the surrounding area. In the past, we did nursery, but we found out that with the direct planting is this very successful also. So we continue for doing that. Once it is established, then we do the enrichment. This also implemented in lowland area at the tailing deposition area. Once it is successful with casuarina, for example, the pinus, yeah, then we do the enrichment also to the area. I hope that question your answer your question. Thank you.
We have also enough time. Do we have last question? So actually, the Dr. Iding told about us about that activity, and then the Professor Prabang won the climate change, and then Gesang told us I forgot the project name, and then so we have enough time to question all presenters. So last chance. Do you have any question? So I just have a question that to the ED. So I heard that any answer from the question about the possibility of your project to Indonesia, but I have a question about do you have any specific area? Could you introduce some of area to be maybe focused?
Sorry, I cannot hear clearly.
Sorry, I just we are finishing the asking to you, and then just I open the question to all speakers, keynote speakers, and then I just ask the Iding who posted the presenter? Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for your question. If you are asking me a specific area where we are working at the moment, we are working in Sumatra, in Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Papua, Timor-Leste, PNG, and across Asia. And Indonesia, we are seeking possibilities working with landowners, concessions owners, which mean that either it is hutan desa, hutan adat, or forest concession. Yeah, and since the new regulation says that REDD Plus is possible to take place or to develop REDD Plus in conservation areas, we are intensifying our communication with Directorate General of KSDI to seek possibilities to be working with them for a public-private partnership. Yeah. We also working with concession owners in the north, the northernmost of Sumatra. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer. My question. So, if you have, do you have any question more? If you enough. So we are finishing the this symposium. Thank you very much for attending and just warming the.
All right, thank you, Professor Sung Won Hong. Okay, for your assistance to run this valuable session together with our distinguished speakers, Mr. Iding and Professor Prabang Setyono, as well as Mr. Gesang as the Vice President of the Environmental Division, PT Freeport Indonesia, and I very happy since I could re-meet with Mr. Iding as my senior in Forestry Vocational School, and also Mr. Gesang since back then a couple months ago I did my thesis research in PT Freeport Indonesia as well, and I did my intern around 3 months, and I'm happy to hear this valuable materials, this very excited news information from me. And again, thank you for our chairman, Professor Sung Won Hong, and also three extremely good speakers here. I thank you so much, either both online and in-person speakers.
That was the last agenda of ISWBC today. Tomorrow we have the next agenda in this room, Arjuna 1, which is Symposium 3, bringing the theme Protection of Indigenous Knowledge and Social Culture Safeguard. Before we close today's agenda, on behalf of all the committee, we would like to apologize if there has been any unpleasantness in hosting everyone today. We would also like to inform everyone that there will be a photo session after this, so if everyone could join us in the front of the room to take a photo. So without further ado, we would like to close this symposium. Good afternoon, everyone. We hope you have a good night rest, and see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat here and have a position here to take a picture together,
So if
ready by
everyone-
the operator.
Yes.
And please stand up, ladies and gentlemen, and make a good position here together with online participants or not, since actually the operator could present the online participants